Hi, I'm Sean Roach, 42 Daniel Street. I want to talk about parking, and it's relevant that I'm a member of the Mayor's Transportation Advisory Group, which confers policy and moral authority on my presentation. But I'm here in my individual capacity with the commensurate diminishment of that authority. That was meant as a joke. Parking throttles traffic, and I'm not here to discuss whether or not the amount of parking that's allowed is enough or not enough. I'd like to talk about the quality of the parking and the character of the parking, because some parking is better than others. Okay. You can start. Okay, I have a little story called Aligning Incentives, and it's the story of two parking spaces. On the left is a parking space controlled by, we'll call him Jordan, and the developer. It's reserved for tenants and it's free. On the right is a parking space controlled by Mary Beth Teresa Arnold. That's my second joke. And that's open to anyone, but it's not free. On the left, it's long-term parking, 2 trips a day, and the fact of the parking space supports 250 to 400 square feet of office space, which leads to lease revenue. On the right, it's long-term parking, 2 trips a day, but that is parking revenue to the MBTA. Who are some other players in this little drama? We have Bob. He's the boss. He's the one who's the tenant, who signs the lease with the landlord. And if parking is included in the lease, he has no incentive to encourage not driving. Everybody's equal in his company. And then there's Colin, the cube dweller. If parking is free, there's no disincentive to drive. On the right-hand side, the space is going to be used by Carol, the commuter. She's an infrequent site user at best. She's going in, she's going out. She's not spending a lot of money or time on the site. On the left, we're talking about a subsidy, and subsidies like this are bad. They lead to bad behaviors. Benefits to the city of Newton. On the left, the parking space leads to an office building, and that's tax revenue for the city. On the right, buckets. Alternative scenario. All parking on the site must be provided on the same terms to all users. It's not reserved. No little white pass to get through a gate. What's the consequence? Commuters are going to take those spaces. What's the response? Jordan's going to have to charge. Now we've got 2 spaces that are being charged. What happens with Bob the boss? He's no longer got parking rolled into his lease. He's got an incentive to encourage not driving to his employees. What about Colin? Colin's making a decision now about driving that incorporates the cost of parking. That's the right kind of decision to be making. Consequence, on the left, we now have that space supporting 2 different revenue streams. One is the office, and the other is parking. The MBTA is sitting there with one revenue stream. Maybe the MBTA says, hey, maybe we should use our space to build a cubicle. Maybe we should have parking and lease revenue. Well, the MBTA took that route. They wouldn't just have one cubicle. They'd have lots of cubicles. They'd have lots of spaces. And when you build more office space, you have more people in the development, more people using the other uses, more people potentially taking the T without additional traffic. And of course, we end up with tax revenue to the city. So, prescription as regards the zoning, there should be no reserved parking on the site. Now, Candace spoke about a shared parking analysis, and there's a great deal of sensitivity in the city about shared parking. What I'm suggesting goes another step beyond and saying there can be no spaces that are not available to all users on exactly the same terms. All those nice consequences follow, and maybe allow for future development on the site if there's no increase in parking. What about the park and ride commuters? Well, send them to Woodland. There's excess capacity, and right here, folks, the Washington Street is much better suited to handle traffic than Grove. It's not clear that park and ride is any greener than office space near the T. I got one more. Okay. And everyone's going to say, what about Jordan's ability to attract tenants unless he's got free parking? This is a site on 128. There is no other comparable site on 128 with access to the T. I can just tell you that I work in a building that is closer to that is roughly equivalent to the distance from the Leechmere stop as the office building will be to this spot. And my building has no parking. Everybody pays in a separate parking. Thank you very much.